back to Real Life. I hope you're having a great day. If you enjoy these vintage episodes, please hit the like button. That helps promote them to like-minded viewers like yourself. Consider subscribing and you'll be notified of new episodes. Members get early previews. There's something new and different every weekend. If you're interested in vintage films and videos featuring Calgary, there are many more episodes from the 1940s on. You can find them on the interactive map guide located in the details below. Today's episode is some of my early video footage I captured in the spring of 1987. Just ordinary, everyday beauty shots of Calgary in several locations. I often would wander around the city, setting up my camera and tripod and just getting shots of traffic or the skyline or some event going on. Little did I realize these mundane shots would eventually become interesting with the passing of time. There are more tapes in my archives waiting to be edited featuring Calgary and further afield, with interesting and varied subject matter. Evening traffic on 14th Street near Southland Drive. What is perhaps not notable until you look for it is the lack of daytime running lights and almost no SUVs on the road. Rocky View Hospital can be seen in the distance. It has since been increased with a couple more floors and more capacity. 14th Street has been altered dramatically with a dedicated Calgary Transit BRT transitway. Seeing a four-door Chevrolet pulling a camper trailer may seem incomprehensible, but this was common practice until powerful SUVs and pickup trucks took over. The 1935-built Glenmore Dam on a calm evening is reflected quite nicely. The causeway, built in 1963, was wide in 1979 and the 1990s. The lack of big pickup trucks is noticeable as well. The traffic is light compared to today. But then again, Calgary's population in 1987 was only 688,000 people, 1 million less than it is today. The mid-1980s was an exciting time for photographers. Video cameras, or camcorders, had taken over Super 8 film cameras. They evolved quickly from tube sensors to CCD sensors. Despite that, the consumer cameras, which this one was, were limited to about 300 lines of resolution. However, tape was relatively cheap. $12 bought a 2-hour, high-quality, brand-name blank tape. It might take me a week of spare time to fill that tape back in the day. Video cameras continued to evolve to the current-day 4K, with a multitude of technical parameters far beyond what we thought possible 40 years ago. The optics today are far superior compared to the lenses of those early cameras. Sony and JVC battled it out for supremacy in the camcorder market. In the end, it would appear the smartphone has won. So far. From the base of CFCN at Broadcast Hill, the view of the skyline has changed dramatically since this footage was shot. No longer can one simply drive up and wander at the base of CFCN either, as it's now gated and surrounded by homes. In 1987, the studio was alone on the hill. The Patterson Heights neighborhood was being planned but not yet built. The Saddle Dome can still be seen between medium-rise office towers. Today, it's almost disappeared behind a forest of condo towers built over the past 30 years through the Beltline. Once a new hockey arena is completed, the Saddle Dome will likely be demolished and reduced to a mere memory. The red and white antenna is the transceiver for Calgary Community Cable, now Rogers, at the top of Cemetery Hill. The tan buildings in the foreground is Spruce Ridge Estates, the 3-story apartments on Hemlock Crescent. A vintage Second World War Douglas A-26 converted to air tanker roll passes overhead. Its pair of Pratt & Whitney 2,000 horsepower double wasp radial engines are a sound we don't hear often anymore. Sorry about the less than stable footage. I was still learning my craft. The area around McMahon Stadium has transformed as well. The Calgary International Airport in the distance is some 12 kilometers from Broadcast Hill. Yet with a telephoto lens, the distance is seemingly reduced, allowing us to watch aircraft taxi. In 1987, a 10-to-1 lens was about the maximum available. Today, 40-to-1 lenses are quite common. At the airport and the familiar southwest viewing location, it's enjoyable to watch PWA Boeing 737's landing. Many of us grew up with this eye-catching paint scheme. These are two different aircraft, as the second one is equipped with a gravel kit as noted by the nose gear deflector. This is likely a 100 or 200 that spent much of its time in the Arctic. A Lockheed 1011 in Air Canada colors taxis to position in preparation for departure. The L1011 TriStar was a wide body with seating capacity for up to 400 passengers and a range of over 4,000 nautical miles. It entered service in 1972 and only 250 were built. Air Canada had 12 of these beautiful aircraft, but they all left the fleet by the early 1990s. Today, only a single L1011 is still airworthy. The Stargazer, with Northrop Grumman flying as a mothership for the Pegasus, a small lift launch vehicle. Back-to-back Boeing 767s land as the L1011 continues to wait. How many of us have fond memories of our dads taking us to the viewpoint with an ice cream bar on a summer evening, just to watch airplanes take off and land? We might sit on the hood of the family car and wait patiently for that exciting moment. Who among us were lucky enough to watch a Trans-Canada Airlines Super Constellation in the 1950s or 60s, or a bright orange CP Air Boeing 747 in the 1970s soar into the sky, both with their own unique thunderous sounds? Maybe even a bright yellow Hughes Air West 727 on its way to Las Vegas. These are core memories. The viewpoint is still popular to this day. Years from now, grown-up children will recount their experiences with their parents of watching Airbus A340s or of Boeing 777s today. As the TriStar continues to climb, we have a great evening view of the Air Traffic Control Tower, which was the airport's second ATC built atop the terminal building in 1957. Wait until the end as I have a great shot of it with the beacon light active. An unidentified Boeing 727 on final approach for runway 11. This final aircraft is a classic, a Worldways DC8 charter flight. The Douglas DC8 was at one time ubiquitous. Its first flight was in 1958. As of 2024, there are only 2 aircraft in commercial service with the Congolese cargo airline Transair Cargo, and 1 with Samaritan's Purse. I'm not sure what engines these DC8s had, as there were so many variants, but the sound was loud and unmistakable. And finally, the air traffic control tower with its beacon light in operation. There was a time in my early childhood, on warm summer evenings, when I would watch in fascination the beacon light from our street in North Haven. I'm sure I wasn't the only one. The former terminal and the air traffic control tower are long gone, replaced today by a modern hangar and fixed base operator, and home to Stars Air Ambulance. I hope you've enjoyed this little trip back in time. With over 1,500 episodes currently online, there are plenty more vintage film and video episodes to explore. If you really enjoyed it, hit the thanks button, as this will contribute to the 4K film scanner that arrives in December. The 4K scanner will be a significant improvement in film transfer. There are still some 2,000 reels waiting to be scanned. Thank you to all my Patreon supporters, members, donors, and subscribers. It's a pleasure producing these fascinating little vignettes for you. Have a great day, be kind, and we'll see you again next time on Real Life.